Super Fight deck analysis video. So this deck I am going to now analyze from the sealed perspective, but with a very interesting twist, because in our local scene we have now been trying out playing sealed adaptive every week. So what this means is that if you open up a deck that is not great, you still have a chance to come out with some W's by playing your opponent's deck. You should check out the latest episode of Help from Future Self podcast, which I'm a part of. I will put a link in the bio in the description here. And it's episode 43. And it basically goes over this in detail. So let's get into this, and I'll explain more as we go. So we got Bosom, Spawn of Vamp Branch. Who knows? Alright, so we have Logos, Shadows, Dis. Oh, the classic Coda combination. So we'll do this the usual way, where it's a reveal as well as a kind of a little bit of analysis. Alright. So we'll put down the Archon card, and we begin. First up, we have Dance of Doom. Choose. Ooh, this is a nice little legacy from Coda. Choose a number, destroy each creature with power equal to that number. Oh, this could be really saucy. Next up, we have Binding Irons, Dendrix, Draining Touch, Edorame, Infernus, Malazan, Misery Exploit, EE on the Fringe, EE on the Fringe, and then we go into logos with a Babbling Bibliophile, Cutthroat Research, Sanitation Engineer, Tau, Twin Bolt Emission, Wild Wormhole, Group Think Tank, which is a pretty cool one. Nice little board action there. Positron Bolt, Quantum Finger Trap, Reassembling Automaton, Entropic Swirl, and now on to Shadows. We got a Hit and Run, Hawk, Inky Gloom, Kymor Eclipse, Simon, Umbra, Dusk Runner, Into the Night, Spike Trap, Rigged Lottery, and lastly we have a Displant. This is a weird deck, not gonna lie. This is a very odd deck. The creature power on this is super low. But how many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 creatures with 5 as the highest power. So, I mean, there's a few, but not a ton, which is kind of interesting. And let's count the Ember now. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Only 9 printed Ember, so not a great number, but that's okay. I feel like there is potential for some interesting things here. I mean, it's got good Ember control. You have, yeah, I like that there's Into the Night and Inky Gloom, so you basically make it so that you're, you lock out of everything from Shadows. So we got Dusk Runner to steal, which you can throw on, actually I'd throw this on probably the Group Think Tank, I think. We got a couple Umbras, and again, some more board. There's really good board control in this deck. You got Hawk, Hit and Run with Infernus. Got the Automaton, which is great. Finger Traps, Positron Bolt. Again, so much spot removal. So much. I actually think you could pull off. There's a potential for a Misery Exploit here. I'm not sure what I would put as a Tau. Yeah, double E on the fringes is sick. The dis is insane in this. Double E on the fringes with triple Infernus, and you got a Dance of Doom. So that's pretty cool. And then we got obviously Draining Touch as well, Binding Irons, and you got the Dendrix for hand disruption, and then again most creatures in play. So the deck just seems like, I feel like this would be a lot of fun to play in a sealed environment. Now in sealed adaptive, I'd have to take into consideration things like, if I see my opponent's houses, I'm basically going to decide if I want to play my deck or their deck. And after that's determined, if we chose the same deck, then we bid chains. Now, these 3 houses, if you're going against someone who has Dinos and Star Alliance, I may actually want to play this. Although the Dinos big board could be problematic. But there is a lot of removal, so I think there's ways you could get around that. And then there's also the fact that you could even do it so you choose their deck and they're going to choose their own because they just see these 3 houses and don't think it's the same as having maybe Dinos and Star Alliance or those and some other houses like Logos. And so what you do is you then bid up their own deck to take when you have no intention of playing it. Also, if you got this deck out of like just blind playing it as you would in sealed adaptive, you would have to figure it out as you draw into it. You wouldn't see some of the lines as easily. So that could be one thing as well. So I think there is a good chance that playing this in a sealed adaptive capacity would be a lot of fun. One, it just has a lot of tricks, although I don't see it sticking on a board. Like there's basically like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So well, there's 9 creatures, so that's not too bad. They're like 4 up, and I think that's a pretty decent threshold. But you don't have any of the big creatures. Like if you had to get rid of some really big board things, I mean, you do have Spike Trap to deal some damage. You do also have like Hit and Run to put some damage, and Entropic Swirl to do some damage. I would probably honestly use Entropic Swirl though, literally just to go onto my Automaton, gain Reap, gain 2 Ember type thing. That'd be pretty sweet. You got Positron Bolt. Again, Group Think Tank can be a pseudo board wipe, which is kind of cool. Again, Twin Bolt, like this deck is really cool. Like I'm curious to see how it rates. Really cool stuff in this deck. So I'm about this deck. I think it's got some cool stuff. That's gonna do it for this one. A little bit shorter one because the deck is like, I mean, I don't feel like it's overly complex, but I feel like it has some really cool lines of play. The double EE is just so awesome. Like I love this. I would use it like potentially with Misery Exploit. Even potential, excuse me, with the Binding Irons or some of the other creatures, but you're obviously not using it on the Infernus. So, but I mean, if you get both though, you can get the maximum value of just discarding one and purging, and getting another. And I could see you purging your opponent's deck, but you got to be careful that you don't purge too much. Jupiter just told me about a crazy story where he had almost his whole deck purged except for Logos, and then he went infinite with Library Access, which is kind of hilarious. So yeah, that can happen. Yeah, this deck seems like good. Definitely in sealed, I would not be opposed to playing this, but I feel there's some things you have to see how everything kind of shakes out in the end with the deck. But very interesting open. I love the Legacy Dance of Doom. I think that creates a very interesting proposition with dinos and even those really big power creatures. You could essentially just one side get rid of stuff. So basically anything 6 or up you can get rid of. So that's going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun looking at this deck that I won after a sealed adaptive chainbound the other day. So as always, please like and subscribe and check out some of my other videos. If you're into Marvel Champions, I'm doing that as well. And yeah, as always, may your ember never be stolen and your keys forged properly. Have a good one.